Yo, yo, yo. Into the O. So Jesus Christ, after a lot of technical difficulties, I finally got this shit to work. But by the time this video comes out, I'm probably going to be streaming on Twitch. So check on Twitch after this video comes out. If you want to, you can wait to watch this video. Because I'm probably going to be streaming as you watch this video. So you can click off the video, go watch my stream. I am going to be streaming on Twitch. You don't have to download the Twitch app, but you can go to the Twitch website and watch me. My Twitch name is the same thing as my YouTube name, Soy_Sebastiano. That's the only difference, is the underscore instead of a space. Basically though, I'm reacting to dark web not the dark web stories. Okay, I always like these stories. I always think they're kind of interesting. Just to show y'all that I never watched it, look at this. I just searched up right here. I thought, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Oh. Nah. 3 unsettling dark web. It says that I watched this because I just clicked on it. I haven't watched this shit at all. But yeah, I literally just searched up first thing to pop up. So you know what? We're gonna watch it. I'm home alone right now, so I probably thought this was the best time to do it.
On what you might call a shut-in.
And yeah. So yeah, let's get into it, sir. We're gonna take the subtitles off so y'all can see me. And yeah. Go watch my Twitch stream. It's I'm gonna be streaming The Walking Dead Michonne. I would stream the normal Walking Dead series, but it's kind of dumb. Let me tell you why it's dumb. Because everybody and their mom has already seen, heard, or watched that series. The thing with Michonne is I've always been a fan of the Walking Dead series, but I've never played or watched any gameplay on the you know, the Michonne series. So I thought I would, you know, experience myself, and I highly I'm assuming that a lot of y'all haven't watched it either. So yeah, let's get into this video.
I've spent the past 5 years of my life shut off from the outside world in my tiny studio apartment. Other people might find it claustrophobic, but I find it comforting. This apartment is my world, and it's small enough that I know everything that goes on in it at any given moment. Here, I know that I'm
July 26th. My birthday is July 27th. It's July 20... Is it the 8th or the 9th? It's July 29th. It's 2 days after my birthday. We still haven't had my party yet. We're supposed to have my party tomorrow.
And protected from the chaotic world outside the window that I always keep closed and curtained. I wasn't always like this, though. I used to be a normal kid with a loving family. Back then, I lived in a fairly large house with my parents and older brother. I don't remember my parents very well. I know they loved my older brother and I, but they were always too busy with work to actually spend much time with us. My brother, on the other hand, I can remember perfectly. He was a lot older than me, and more often than not, had to be the one to take care of me when my parents worked late into the night. I've eaten his cooking more times than my mom's. He never seemed to mind taking care of me, though. Sometimes I wonder how much of that was a facade. A teenager like him must have felt frustrated having to take care of his kid brother all the time. Thankfully, he was kind enough to never blame me for it. Not overtly, anyways. In return, I tried my best to not bother him or my parents as much as possible. I was a shy, quiet kid, even back then anyways. I kept to myself both at school and at home, locking myself in my room until it was my time to eat, and only coming out when asked to. In my mind, I was trying my best to not be a bother to anyone. Looking back, I think I might have come off as cold or uncaring to my family. Maybe if I'd tried to talk to them more, things would have gone differently. One night I woke up to the sound of my door hinge rattling. I'd made it a habit to lock my doors early, one out of shyness, and that most likely saved my life. I got out of bed to open the door, thinking that my brother needed something from me. But when I heard the person from the other side bang loudly on the door, I froze in my tracks. My brother was a calm, patient person. He never once raised his voice at me. It wasn't like him to bang on my door like that in the middle of the night. The person on the other side continued to bang on the door, getting louder and louder with every passing second, until I was afraid that it might break. All I could do was curl up in my bed under my blanket. At some point, I fell asleep and woke up the next morning drenched in my own sweat. I tried to convince myself that it was just a dream. Almost succeeded, too. But then I opened the door and stepped into my living room. What I saw there would haunt me for the rest of my life, even though I wasn't able to remember most of it. My court-appointed therapist tells me it's my mind repressing stressful memories that I wasn't mentally equipped enough to process yet. I can still recall some of those things, though. I remember the blood flowing down the wooden floorboards, the metallic smell in the air that reached into the back of my throat to make me gag, the red and blue glare of the police lights as they pulled up to the side of the house to respond to what they thought was a noise complaint. Those bits managed to sneak past the cracks in my psyche. Now, they're pretty much the only thing I can remember about that old life. The repressed memories had extended to memories of my family in general. By the time I was released from the foster system and found my own apartment, I barely remembered anything about my family. Hell, I couldn't even remember my parents' faces at that point anymore. I became a shut-in, living cheaply off money I made doing freelance tech jobs online. Then, one day, I looked in the mirror and saw for the first time just how sad and pathetic I'd gotten. Or rather, remained. 18 years old, and I was still the same scared little brat who hid under his blankets all those years. I thought that enough was enough, and that I would overcome my fear. The therapist who I've been talking to online told me that some gradual exposure therapy could help me overcome my fears. She was talking about my fears of the outside.
Literally, you ask a therapist, I'm having trouble with this. What should I do? She's suggesting you to go to more therapy so she can get to freaking get guap. Go to this therapy and you gotta pay for therapy, bro. Therapy ain't nothing but a bunch of loads of bullshit. People go to school to try to study other people's minds and try to tell them about their experiences that them themselves never even been through. Literally, you grow up, you're in a normal house, you grow up with a lot of money, loving parents. You say, I want to go to school to be a therapist, and then you learn in college about how to be a therapist and shit, and then you start telling kids, oh, you're feeling this way because who, or you're feeling this way because who? You can't tell me how the hell I feel. You're feeling depressed because you seen your mother get shot in the face. I understand.
World then. Once I felt I was ready, she intended to take me for a walk outside to get used to the environment. But for once in my life, I wanted to do more that was required of me. I was impatient after years of being trapped by my own mind, and wanted to take action while I still felt the determination to do so. That was the biggest mistake of my life. Instead of gradually exposing myself to the outside world to get used to it, I decided to confront my fear of death firsthand, and the only way to do that was to witness it. I logged on to the deep web using a Tor browser and over a dozen security features. I may be a shut-in, but I was also a freelance techie with more than one working brain cell. If I was really going to explore the deep web, I wasn't going to take any risks. I went to several gore sites to see people after accidents or natural disasters. A soldier with his leg torn apart by an explosion, its bits scattered on the dirt around him. The sight of a car crash where the driver had been crushed in their seat, with their entrails spilling out of their eviscerated belly, and a person who'd been struck by lightning that fired their skin into a blackish blue hue with dark bulging veins beneath them. Some of the people in the pictures I couldn't even tell whether they were dead or alive. It might have been more merciful had they been dead. I wanted to close the browser so many times while browsing that site, but even as the tears filled my eyes alongside memories that I'd been trying to forget, I kept clicking on links and looking at the terrible photos that popped up without averting my gaze. I was determined to let myself not be scared by stuff like that anymore. It seemed like I was doing well. I hadn't curled up on the bed in a panic attack yet, at least. But then I clicked
grab a weapon real quick, bro. Cause I'm home alone, bro. And I don't do that shit. This is all I need. Oh, Nick, that's not gonna do anything. What are you talking about, bruh? This is a screwdriver, bruh. Good son. Got a little routed up.
One link titled Family Night Gone Wrong. I wasn't sure what I was expecting it to be about, but I thought it'd just be another gruesome photo. Instead, it redirected me to a video. I knew it couldn't be a live feed though. I had security programs that would block any attempts to sync my computer to another device. I might be a half-mad shut-in, but I'm not an idiot. The video showed the dimly lit living room of a house. Tied and propped up in a sitting position on the couch were a middle-aged man and a woman with duct tape over their mouths. They were both sobbing through their closed mouths, but I could also hear another, younger voice sobbing with them from somewhere off camera. Two men in black ski masks walked into the frame, and each stood behind the man and woman. They both gently rested a hand on the man and woman's shoulder, like they were giving them a reassuring pat after a rough day at work. The effect they had was anything but comforting, though. The man and woman started hyperventilating. The sobbing of the younger voice off screen grew louder. Then, without warning, the masked men's resting hands tightened into a vice-like grip that made the man and woman visibly tense up in pain. The masked men pulled out switchblades from behind their backs, and in one swift motion, slit the throats of the man and woman at the same time. A muffled scream came from off-screen as the man and woman bled to death, unable to make any sound but the faint involuntary wheezing of air squeezing out of their open throat. But that's not what broke me. What made me close the browser was that I saw when the camera panned off of the couch and focused on a teenage boy tied to a living room chair. I recognized that boy. He was my brother. That living room was my living room. The faces of the man and woman on the couch instantly became more familiar to me. They were my parents, and I was watching a recording of what happened in my house the night my life changed forever. I immediately called the police. The new evidence helped reignite the unsolved case of my family's murder. It's the only good thing that came out of my dark web trip. I've given up trying to overcome my fears of the outside world, at least for now. But maybe, just maybe, if the police can catch the men responsible for my family's murder, I'll be able to muster up the courage to go outside again.
Story 2.
I used to sell organs on the dark web. No, I'm not a murderer. I work at a funeral home as its sole undertaker and owner. It's the only funeral home in this small town I live in, so I was pretty much the only choice for the families of the deceased to go. I wasn't always the only worker here, though. The funeral home's a family business, so my father was the one who taught me the ins and outs of the trade as soon as I was old enough to. I tried to get out of it by going to medical school after university. I did pretty well for the 3 years that I was there, before I was forced to return to my hometown. My father had passed away from a sudden heart attack back home. He passed the funeral home down to me in his will. He also requested that I be the one to prepare his body for his funeral. Having to embalm his body was the single hardest thing I had to do, but I did it anyway because that's what he wanted. It was clear that the family business meant a lot to my father. The locals needed it too, if they wanted a proper ceremony without having to drive miles to the next closest funeral home. Knowing that, I just couldn't abandon it anymore. It's not like I was going to be able to pay off the student loan now that my father isn't around to help support me either. I had no choice. Either work normally as an undertaker and keep paying my student loans until it was my turn to be put in the ground, or find a little hustle on the side that might let me pay it off before I retire. The choice was pretty obvious in my mind. The experience I got from medical school helped me carefully extract the organs from every corpse that found their way to my embalming table. The suits and dresses cover up the scars, and a little bit of stuffing where the organs used to be kept them from looking deflated. Honestly, it wasn't too different from regular embalming. Their loved ones were none the wiser at their funerals. They often thanked me for making their families look alive one last time, not knowing that I had their organs stashed in a freezer in the back of the funeral home. For as much effort as we undertakers put into making bodies look pretty, our living clients tend to not look at them very closely in the end. So hey, what they don't know won't hurt them, right? It's not like the corpses themselves can object to whatever I do to them either, since they're, dead.
You're supposed to take the organs out.
Considering some of the gruesome stuff regular embalming entails, undertakers wouldn't exist if they could. Now, before any of you judge me for what I did, know this. As someone who knows doctors and wanted to become one in the past, the organs that people bury and burn every day are worth more than their weight in gold. There are people in hospitals waiting for life-saving organ transplants, and while their own time is running out, those whose time had already passed are taking their invaluable organs with them into the ground, where they have no use for it. To me, burying something as precious as organs that could potentially keep more people from dying is just absurd. It's one of the reasons why I was so against inheriting the funeral home business in the first place, even more so than the morbid nature of the profession. That's not to say that I'm some sort of saint for thinking that way, though. After all, I was mainly selling organs to make money, not save lives. No legitimate doctor I knew would ever try to find organs for their patients through the dark web anyways. I try my best to not ask what my customers intend to do with the organs I provide to them. That used to be the case with one of my most frequent recurring customers. For the sake of the story, let's call him Henry. I met Henry when I was just starting out my organ-selling business on the dark web. I had my own little website on the dark web where I could conduct my business. Every time I extracted an organ from a corpse, I would list it on my website with a starting price that people could bid on. Once an organ was sold and paid for with Bitcoin, I'd drive to a secluded spot near the buyer's address, place down a container with the organs inside, and send the coordinates to the buyer before getting the hell out of Dodge. Henry was always a high bidder, and I very quickly got used to seeing his username on my dark website, offering exorbitant amounts of money for any organ I listed. He almost always won the bid, too. I don't know where the hell he got all the money to be spending on these organs, and I didn't care. I just wanted the money. One day, I had a complete set of organs up on sale on my dark website. Hearts, lungs, kidneys, you name it. The person I got them from had died from hypothermia. Apparently, he got drunk off his mind and spent the night asleep on the street where he froze to death. Terribly tragic incident. But it gave me the rare chance to harvest a full set of undamaged organs. Plus, him dying from the cold meant they were all still remarkably preserved by the time he reached my embalming table. The liver was a little worse for wear, though. Harry won the bid for several of the organs within just one day. I was able to make a crap ton of money, but I also had to haul a heavy icebox with a heart, a pair of lungs, 2 kidneys, and one nasty-ass liver across the state to the city he was in. I was really tired that day. Extracting that many organs without damaging them and stitching the body back up isn't that easy. That, coupled with the fact that I'd delivered organs to Harry about a dozen times before, made me complacent. I didn't notice the black car that was tailing me from behind until I was already in a secluded part of the city. When I noticed the car in my rearview mirror, I felt my pulse start to race. I've always been afraid that something like this would happen. I thought...
Okay. So, on my driver's license, I was with Monty, and I was answering the questions for stuff I want on my license, bro. And freaking, she said, and there was the option to click organ donor, and I just scrolled past. She's like, no, click it. It's cool. It looks cool on your driver's license. That's what she said. Turns out, having this shit on my driver's license lets them know that it's cool to cut me up when I'm dead and take my shit. You crazy? Unless it's like a family member or something, I don't want no one touching my organs, bro. I don't want them going in someone else's bodies. It's not freaking self-worshipping or being full of yourself to fucking know your value. You know what I'm saying? There's never gonna be another me, bro. And I feel extremely uncomfortable because think about it like this. You look in the mirror every single day. You know what I'm saying? And you see yourself. You see your lips, you see your nose. Do you want to see somebody else with your nose on their face? No, you wouldn't. That's kind of creepy. Or someone else with your eyeballs. So why would you want somebody with your heart or your lungs? Just because you can't see your heart and your lungs doesn't mean that it's not a part of you. So no. I need to get this shit off my stuff, bro. How do I... Tell me in the comments if y'all know, how do I get this off my license? Look at this. It says organ donor, bruh. Put in the comments if how to take this off, bruh.
The police might have finally caught on to what I've been doing, but before I panicked, I calmed myself down. It could just be a coincidence. A car that just so happened to be going in the same direction as me. I pulled my car to the side of the road, under the pretense of checking my phone, hoping that they were just a regular car that'll just drive past. Instead, my heart leapt into my throat when the car pulled up beside me. This is it, I thought. They were the cops and are going to arrest me for selling organs on the dark web.
You're like,
but instead of arresting me on sight, the person in the black car rolled down their window. Inside was an average-looking man in a white dress shirt. I kept my window shut, still pretending to be on the phone, when I got a text message on it. It was from Henry, and it simply read, "Look beside you." I realized that the person beside me was my buyer. I was relieved that it wasn't the police, but I didn't want to show my face to a guy who buys organs on the deep web either. I made no move to open the door or roll down the window. I just texted him back asking if he was the guy in the car beside me. He confirmed my suspicion and told me to roll down the window so that we could talk. I didn't budge. I just told him that we can discuss whatever he wants to discuss through text. I also asked him how the hell he knew where I was in the first place. I could hear him chuckle in his car when he read my message, and texted back that he had his ways. I could only assume that he must be tracing me by my phone somehow. He asked me how I got my organs, to which I replied that it was none of his concern. I saw him frown through the car's open window. Then he asked me if he could be there when I acquired the organs. I asked him why the hell he'd want that. His response remains with me to this day. He texted me that he always wanted to try making sashimi, and that the meat needed to be extra fresh for that. I realized with horror that all this time he'd been buying the organs I sold to eat them.
The fuck is sashimi? How do you say?
With horror that all and that the
sashimi is a Japanese raw fish or meat sliced into thin. Ew! So this man's slicing human meat into like small bits and eating it. That's gross either way. It don't matter if it's human meat or fish meat, bro. That's nasty.
Needed to be extra fresh for that.
You're not supposed to eat sea creatures, my boy. Nick, what are you talking about, bro? Do your research.
I realized with horror that all this time he'd been buying the organs I sold to eat them. When I looked at him again through the closed car window, He was smiling in my direction with a toothy grin and wide, crazed eyes. I hit the gas and got the hell out of there as soon as possible. I also broke my phone and tossed its remains into a garbage can as soon as I could. Deep down, I always knew that it was possible that my customers could be eating the organs I gave them. There are a lot of sick people on the dark web. But there's a difference between knowing there are cannibals out there and coming face to face with one yourself. I no longer sell organs on the dark web. Instead, I encourage my living clients to willingly donate their loved ones' organs. Maybe by doing that, I can make up for all the disgusting things I've enabled on the dark web.
Okay, y'all. So yeah, that's kind of gross. Don't sell organs on the dark web, especially if they're not yours. That's not a good idea because you can get jail time for that. I don't know if this story is true, because if it is true, then the man who made this video is probably in jail or something. I don't know. But yeah, some stuff's crazy to me. People actually eat meat. Like, ain't that crazy, y'all? Like, people actually eat meat. Like, it's just weird to me. I don't understand why you eat meat, you know what I'm saying? It don't even taste good. You know what I'm saying? Actually, that's cap. Anything tastes good if you season it properly, but he's just eating raw human flesh. That's cool, I guess. If you want to eat raw human flesh, go for it, bro. That's cool with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. This video would be around 40 minutes if I finish the rest of this video. Right now we're at 29 seconds. I know, because it literally shows me the timer right here on my camera. But yeah, other than that, I'll see y'all guys later. Make sure you like the video. If you enjoy content like this, make sure you comment Suzanne plus bling bling. I'll see y'all boys later. That's it, yeah. And I been getting a lot of bread. I ain't fucking for a month. I been getting a lot of head. Bitches stay at a swap. But I said what I said. When I pull it with a stick, get bad bullet spread. Let the beat play out, cause I'm going through a lot. So much shit up on my mind.